Howdy, folks. I'm a playing card deck that only has 51 cards in it,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Let's get started. This is, of course, an odd one. Some content warnings are pregnancy and IVF. Am I the jerk if I tell my mom that my dad asked if I could be a surrogate for him and his new wife? I'm a 26-year-old female, and my dad is a 56-year-old female, and he's been trying to have a child with his new wife, a 40-year-old female, for going on 2 years. They are attempting IVF, but they are not having any luck. They told me this in confidence and asked if I could keep the fact that they are trying for a baby to myself, which I have done no problem. Well, recently my dad called saying that he was having something planned to ask me for a while. He asked if things with IVF don't work out well, if I would be willing to be a possible surrogate with donor DNA from both of them. I was shocked and, to be honest, slightly disgusted by the idea. For some background, my father and I don't have the best relationship. My parents are divorced, and he was an alcoholic up until I went to college. We went 3 years without speaking to each other because of an argument. We only started speaking again 3 years ago. All this makes the fact that he's acting so shocking. When he asked, I gave an awkward chuckle and told him I don't even know if I want to physically have a child myself, and if I do, I probably would use a surrogate myself if I could, you know? He was audibly disappointed when he responded with, "No, I don't know." There was an awkward pause, and I said, "Yeah, well, sorry, but love you." And we hung up. I was so shocked, I thought I had entered the Twilight Zone and started to feel nauseous. I was going to keep this to myself, but I don't think I can. I want to tell my mom, a 60-year-old female. We have a very close relationship and constantly tell each other everything. Even if this is the end of the conversation, the fact that my dad felt comfortable asking me this is weirding me out. I feel slightly concerned she might attempt to do him in. I would like to tell her to put the fear of God into him so he never considers even thinking of me as a surrogacy in the same sentence ever again. My dad is a selfish person. I know that he didn't consider the ramifications of what being pregnant and having a child would have on me at all, even if I would not be involved with raising it. I know part of the reason why he asked is because he's hoping to save money on a surrogacy agency. And it's grossing me out that he thought about me being pregnant. It's just grossing me out, and I'd like to talk to my mom about the situation. Am I the jerk if I talked to her after they told me to keep the fact that they are trying to have a second child secret? It would obviously give away the fact that they are trying for a child, and she would 100% yell at him, which would give away the fact that I told her. She wouldn't spread it to other people, though, and I do feel like he crossed the line by asking this question. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say not the jerk.
This is a difficult situation. I know that sometimes family members do act as surrogates to other family members, and usually I think they're probably on better terms than being at this point. I think that different people are going to have different comfort levels, and OP is clearly not okay with this. And the fact that the father doesn't know his daughter well enough to know that she would be extremely uncomfortable with a situation like this is pretty well telling.
Yeah. And like, while I get that the dad doesn't want anyone to know that he is trying for a child, except for OP, he has. This is a very big ask, and something that made
It's a
her.
huge
It's
ask.
something that made her very deeply uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
it sounds like she's not even sure that he won't ask again, and she really
Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
to make sure that this doesn't come up again. And so if she thinks, because it may be, I mean, her opinion of him is that he's very selfish, so he
Yeah.
probably does like ask for things and not really think about the burden it takes on other people.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't think about this in a, kind of in a really gross way. And I know
No.
that OP is not comfortable with this, and I can't blame OP with not being comfortable with this. But
Yeah.
again, I think that OP is probably right, and I think you're probably right, that this is stemming more from him being just a very selfish person who's very
Yeah.
self-centered than him being like, "Oh, I didn't mean to cause you discomfort."
Yeah, so I mean, I think if talking to the mom is gonna make OP feel better, like, yeah, she's technically breaking a promise, but also he has kind of crossed a boundary in their relationship that, like, they may not have known existed, but like, who
Yeah.
expects your parent to be like, "Hey, you want to be my surrogate?" Like,
Yeah.
that just creeps me out. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that it probably is fine for some people, but again, like, it's one of those things that I think you really have to know the person really, really well before you can approach them with that.
our next story is Am I the jerk for embarrassing my father-in-law after I repeatedly asked him to explain his joke to me? Alright, we have content warning on this one. It does mention pregnancy. I'm a 27-year-old female and I used to be an escort from 18 until I was 23. I'm not proud of it, but I also don't care because I did what I had to keep studying and a roof over my head. That's how I met my now fiance, a 37-year-old male, though he was never my client. We began to date when I was 25, and 3 or 4 months after that, his brother-in-law exposed me. No idea how he found out, because there was no way that my fiance knew, and thus we had to come clean in front of his whole family. Yes, I did that. Yes, he knows. Yes, he doesn't care. It was 2 years ago at that time. We got over it. After that, there was a span of 3 to 4 months in which my mother-in-law and some of my fiance's aunts and cousins would police their husbands when I was around. It was really weird because these dudes were like 40 to 60 years old and I wasn't that desperate. So my fiance shut their BS down hard, and even when his family still gives me the side eye from time to time, we thought it was behind us. He proposed last year, and 5 months ago we found out that I was pregnant. We were really happy about it and we told his family as soon as we knew. His sisters and young brother were happy for us, but his mom took me aside and begged me to be honest with her and asked if it was really my fiance's child.
Oh my goodness, this whole family sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I was taken aback, but I just rolled my eyes and said yes, and she gave me some speech about how she only wanted to make sure and that she was happy to be a grandmother.
Oh my goodness, exhausting.
Yeah. Well, last weekend we were at his parents with his family and some of his friends, and we were talking about the name, how he might look, small talk. Will love him regardless, but there's always some, oh, I hope he gets your nose. I like your eyes. I hope he gets them types of comments. And my father-in-law said that he and his children have a birthmark on their inner thigh, and that even his grandchildren, one of my sister-in-law's kids, got them, so our baby might too. And then he said, but how can we know who we got him from?
Oh,
It may as well be from me, my boy, or my brothers.
what?
And
How
he
gross.
and he and his brothers began to laugh. My fiance got mad, and before he could say anything, I said, I don't get it. And my father-in-law was, yeah, because it runs in the family. And I said again, I don't get it. Why would he get it from you? And he began to get nervous and said, because, it's just a joke, OP. And I said, but I don't get it. And you all laughed. Explain. It got to the point that some of his friends said, hey, it's not funny. So he excused himself and left. Later, my fiance's brother-in-law came to me and said that I was wrong for embarrassing him like that in his own house, and that I knew what the joke was about, and because of my past, I shouldn't be surprised. Now they're all demanding that I apologize to my father-in-law.
I love how their OP needs to apologize because she was alright with being embarrassed, but they are not alright with being embarrassed.
Right, like it's like they want to endlessly shame her for
Oh,
her
yeah,
past, and
yeah.
that's so. I'm gonna say OP's 100% not the jerk here, and this is exactly the way to handle a situation when someone says something like
Yeah.
that. Like, just ask them to explain the joke and watch them get flustered.
Yeah, I mean, if your joke really isn't that funny, and he, I think, realized after the fact that it wasn't funny at all, and, it was a gross joke to make. It really
Yeah.
was. It was very disrespectful.
And he's also like insinuating that he, had adult activities
Yeah.
with his daughter-in-law
Yeah.
and his brothers too. Like
Yeah.
that's just, it's so gross and creepy on so many levels. So, I mean, I think OP handled it like a champ.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think that OP did a really good job with the situation. They didn't lose their cool. They just acted naive and didn't know what they were all talking about.
And he deserves to be embarrassed in
Yeah.
his own home if this is the kind of stuff he does.
Exactly.
Like, being in your own home does not give you a right
Be a jerk.
to be a jerk to people.
Our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for eating at the same restaurant as my husband's family? I'm a 32-year-old female and I've been married to my husband, a 35-year-old male, for 3 years. We dated for 2 years before that. I want to start this off by saying that he's a really good guy in other areas. My husband's parents, his two brothers, ages 38 and 40-ish, and his brothers/girlfriends/fiancés have a tradition of going out to dinner once a month. I am invited up to about 50% of them. I talked to my husband's brother's fiance, and she says that she is invited every single time. When they say that I'm not invited, I mean that my husband tells me that I'm going to go to a family dinner. It's probably best if you just sit this one out. When I expressed that I wanted to come, he told me that it would be for the best if I didn't. This has caused several fights. Well, about a week ago, my husband went to a family dinner that I wasn't invited to. I was very mad, so earlier that day I called and made a reservation at the restaurant that they were going to. My husband left the house not knowing about my reservations, and I left 15 minutes after him. I ended up seated at a table where I couldn't see his family, so I got up as if I was going to the bathroom and walked right past them. They were all there, including his brother's significant others. My husband looked completely shocked and asked me what I was doing there. I told them that I'd just been dying for a steak, so I came to this restaurant and got one. My mother in law said it was very rude of me to interrupt their family dinner. I pointed out that I wasn't. I love how they're like, family dinner, you are not family.
Yeah.
I pointed out that I wasn't trying to join them, I was just going to the bathroom. I told them to have a good meal and left. I went and finished my steak by myself. My husband was really mad when he came home and told me that he couldn't believe how much of a jerk I had been. I said that he was a jerk for not inviting me to his dinners when his brother and significant others got to go. My husband said that the decision to invite was between him and his family, and I should respect it. Anyways, with the way the word jerk is thrown around, it made me think of this sub, so I wanted to ask if I'm the jerk.
No, not the jerk. Like, he and his family are huge jerks. And I know you say he's good in other areas, but like, there's some reason why you're not being invited to these dinners.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't have an answer of this, like, he's really not a good. This, I mean, even if they have a reason,
Yeah.
like, unless you did something really horrible to them, like, it's not a good reason. And he, as your husband, should put his foot down and be like, I'm not going to go to these dinners if you don't invite my wife.
Yeah, I think that there is way more going on here than, of course, what's seen here.
Yeah.
I definitely think that OP isn't the jerk here in particular, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that OP hasn't done some questionable things in the past. And, like, I don't think that OP is necessarily 100% innocent, although they could be, right? There's just not enough information to know whether or not what they've done. And it may just be that these people are mean and petty.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Is it more because Obi doesn't say anything about reasons, so like it seems maybe like they are just kind of like mean and petty because they invite her to every other one. It's not like
Yeah.
they. So there's some weird kind of power play going on there. It feels like.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. It could just be like she has a personality conflict with one of the members there,
But
and
it sounds like all of them go all the times, and OP's the only one who's invited like every other time.
yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is that OP may have a personality trait that could lead them to be in butting heads with somebody.
I mean, that's possible, but again, it's still like.
It's rude. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that it isn't rude for them to not invite her. I'm just saying that that could be one of the reasons. And OP has no way to know because no one's approaching her and being like, listen, cool it or something like that.
Well, and I was like how the mother-in-law acts like she owns this restaurant,
Yeah.
and like they're all like, "What are you doing here?" Like,
Yeah.
as if they have some extra right to the restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
OP made a reservation just like you all.
Exactly. OP made a reservation. OP went to the restaurant, and even if they don't like it, too bad. OP's a paying customer.
Yeah. And it's not like she like interrupted their dinner beyond walking past so that they knew she was there, and they're the ones who chose to confront her and
Yeah.
be like, "Why are you ruining our dinner?"
And OP was like, I'm not.
I'm just going to the bathroom.
All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your tea, everybody.
I got my tea.
Ever does. I have my tea as well, as you can see.
I have mint tea, and I also have Brian's joke book. Why is the letter A like a flower?
I don't know why.
Because a bee always comes after it.
Oh my goodness. What a silly joke. I have mint tea.
And our next story is, am I the jerk for embarrassing my colleague by laughing at his socks? Content warning on this one, it does mention death. Hi, first time here, please be gentle. So I, a 28-year-old female, am an employee working for a large company with several departments. There's this new guy that I see often at the reception from another department. He's good looking, wears nice suits, but his socks are just... they look weird. They're colorful and have patterns and animals and totally don't match what he's wearing. Like, they really stand out and you can't help but notice them. He's been here for 2 months and has been basically wearing those unmatching socks religiously. Some of my colleagues laughed at him, but they don't know him and rarely see him, so no harm in that. Last week I was in a meeting with him and other employees from different departments. I sat at the corner but still couldn't help staring at his socks and trying to contain my laughter, as if there's absolutely nothing else in the room to look at.
Yeah, you can't look at anything. His socks are so bright. You people must live in a very dull work environment if
Yeah.
that's the brightest thing around.
He noticed but didn't say anything until he caught me looking at them again. That's when he sort of snapped and said, "You've been looking at my feet and laughing. Is there a problem?" I finally just let out a laugh and said, "I'm sorry, but it's just these penguin socks." Everyone stared at them and then laughed. He looked around and immediately went back to the project. Let me just say that it got awkward for everyone till the meeting ended. He waited for me outside the office and pulled me aside and said that those socks I was laughing at had a huge value to him because his late wife made them before her passing and he's been wearing them for a year now. I was stunned. I said I was sorry for his loss, and I was kidding, though I was kind of not, because I really thought those socks looked stupid and unmatching with his overall appearance. Plus, they make him look unprofessional and ruin his professional look. He said what was unprofessional is me going off topic and commenting and making fun of something so personal. He implied that he'd take this to HR someday soon, which I thought was a huge overreaction on his part, though I don't really think he'll go through with this passive threat. He turned around and walked off. I felt so terrible. I went back to my department and told my colleagues what happened. They told me he's egotistical and deserved the embarrassment,
What?
because what did he expect when he decided to wear stuff like that and get attention? Besides, it wasn't like I made direct comments about the socks. I just laughed quietly and did my best not to let it show, and he brought it up. Gosh, this entire situation made me nauseous because he seemed like a nice guy, but I think we got off on the wrong foot, sort of speaking, and maybe I was wrong. Maybe he flew off the handle. Am I the jerk, though?
All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Huge jerk. Like, why is everyone in this office building so concerned with this guy's socks?
Yeah, well, that's what I want to know. And I mean, I think that this is really petty of everyone here. It sounds like they're a mean girl.
It does. Like, it sounds like this is an office of, like, like mean people from high school.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, did you all like just graduate high school or something? Like,
the
do
same
you?
high school. You're all just a popular
Yeah,
crowd and you get a job in this office.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like just these high schoolers all just got a job at an office and are working together, and they never grew up past high school.
Like, Opie's like 28 or something.
Yeah,
Like, not that it would be excusable if you're 18 either. Like, as an adult, you're at a point in life where you're old enough not to stare at someone's socks and laugh.
yeah,
Like, it sounds like Opie was just sitting in the meeting, staring repeatedly at his socks and kind of laughing to
yeah,
herself.
laughing to herself like.
Like, there's literally nothing else. She wanted to embarrass him.
Oh yeah, she
Like,
did.
that's clear. And this whole.
Well, that's why she drew attention to herself by laughing constantly about
Yeah,
it,
and
and
just
that's what it
constantly
sounds like.
staring at his socks. She had to make a point to him
Yeah,
in front of people from across the company that what he's doing is unacceptable. And it sounds like maybe she finds him attractive and like doesn't like the socks, so she hopes he'll drop it with the socks.
maybe.
Because
I
she
don't
says
know.
at the beginning that he's good looking, and she
Yeah.
also is like, "Oh, he seems like a nice guy." But whatever her motives are, like, it's not good.
No, no. I mean, I don't think OP's winning any friends here. And I think that people like this, they're just really petty and mean people. And I think that OP is probably going to have HR called on them in the near future because, like, this is just completely unacceptable. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason why he shouldn't be able to wear bright and colorful socks that he wants to, especially if they're from someone who was very dear to him.
Right, and like he doesn't even need a reason to wear
Yeah.
like colorful socks. Like I wear pattern socks basically every day. I don't think I may own like maybe a pair of plain socks or two, but like cuz they're fun and they're
Yeah.
not a big
Oh,
deal.
yeah. And me too. I wear the same, I
You
wear,
wear black socks every day.
yeah,
Brian has
pattern.
boring.
They're patterned.
They're not patterned. And
Black is a pattern.
that's not a pattern. Brian wears absolutely boring, dreadfully boring socks. He owns nothing but black socks. I have not black socks on. I'm not gonna lift them up to show you my foot because they're not that exciting. They're just like wavy ones. But I do have penguins, and I have all kinds of other like cute little animals and stuff, and foods, tacos, fries, all kinds of stuff.
Black is still a pattern.
It is not a pattern. It's a shade.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving it a like. And if you didn't, consider giving it a dislike. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
And we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.